Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I'm your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker.
And I'm your co-host, Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot.
And I'm your Cobra intern that wants a bottle of anything and a glazed donut to go. Codename Legion Club.
At Audible Interlude Podcast and on X at G.I. Joe Audible. And I don't know why I'm so pale tonight. I've got a weird lighting situation going on. Look, my hands fix it. I'll just keep my hands up here all night.
Very
and then
dainty.
my face will look normal. I'm like Zartan, except I turn pale in the light.
I was thinking
you in the moonlight.
David Duchovny from Zoolander.
Yeah. Oh my
night
gosh.
and just.
Yeah. Normally, this is the spot where I would put over audiblearmy.com. However, shut it down. I put up a video. If you are a member of audiblearmy.com, you know the whole story, but basically the bottom line is with the impending life situation that I have going on, it just isn't working out right now. The amount of time it takes to curate audiblearmy.com is just not happening. If we had, 500 members, then it'd be a different story, but we don't. So we're shutting it down for now, which means for at least a year. So there we go. We do have shirts available, and everybody is welcome to check out Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. Look at the pinned stories and get yourself a t-shirt. Our next live stream is next Monday. That's right. We've got, 3 in a row now, I think? Because we had to be live tonight because San Diego Comic-Con happened this past weekend, and there are a couple of things to talk about there. So August 5th, join us right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel for our next live stream. And then, of course, we have to announce, I should have made a slide for this, but I didn't. We will be live at DragonCon August the 30th at 1 p.m. in Marriott M103 105. You can join us for a live episode of Audible Interlude. And we have a mystery panel that we're going to be hosting at DragonCon as well that I cannot announce just yet, but that is very exciting for us.
Ooh, mysterious.
Oh, it's funny. RecShip85 says, I'm pale from the amount of pre-orders I just incurred over the weekend. Well, RecShip85, we'll be talking about that a little bit later. Things might not be as paling as one would think. Oh, I know why. I know what the problem is. Well, part of the problem. That's very slightly better. Okay, I forgot.
I just want to know: is our mystery as mysterious as the unveiling of the Rattler, or more mysterious?
I think. We'll get to that. I don't look. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight. I have thoughts about the Rattler, and I want to make it absolutely clear that I think it's great, and I'm very excited for everybody to get a Rattler. More on that later. A Rattler. Rattler?
Rattler? Wait, no.
Rattler. Oh, I should have brought Rattler over here. So yeah, anyway, that's all of our opening business. AudibleArmy.com is kaput for the time being. Check out Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram and check us out live at DragonCon. And the reason I didn't have a slide for that is I have not freaking had time to put one together yet. I always do a graphic for our live stuff, and I just hadn't had time for it. Okay, before we get to the Rattler and the Comic-Con happenings okay, so this is weird. There was big comic book news after San Diego Comic-Con. A little weird. But we're going to talk about it a little bit right now. We all know the G.I. Joe title is launching, I believe it's November 13th. I probably should have made a note about that. Get some great cover art going on here, but we get which looks a little more vibrant than I remember it being. Are you guys seeing a lot more color on the Cobra side than maybe we saw last time?
Definitely looks more saturated.
Yeah, it's saturation. That's what I'm looking for. They turned up, they went into Pixlr, and they took the little slider and made the saturation go all the way up. And then we've got the big bonkers everybody cover, which is a lot of fun. And if this was being released by Marvel in 1996, this would absolutely be a poster you could order, and it would be like 5 feet long. I still have my X-Men door poster. And then we've got some new character art. This is basically, what is it? Key art, style guide. What do we call these things?
Honestly, it's probably a drawing from the style guide, because usually like that, the character study, it would have side, front,
all the way around,
back.
right.
Yeah, so I feel like they pulled one image from
which
a
makes
pose.
it makes sense as a promotional thing. So we've got Baroness and her G.I. Joe uniform here, which I'm all about. Give it to me as a classified figure. I'm down. These are all by Tom Riley, by the way. New look for Cobra Commander, which I also really
small
like.
Head.
Yeah, that head does look a little small, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's a bad Photoshop edit.
Yeah, it almost seems that way, doesn't it?
I don't think the artist necessarily did, because it looks tacked on.
Or maybe it's one of the Bobs from Beetlejuice. That's the secret.
I do like the high collars.
Yeah, well, I like the chest flap, like Star Trek Wrath of Khan style. I always liked when like Kirk got serious, he'd pull the little flap open like that. It looks good. It's just a cool updated look. And I like how these all look like ripe for animation. Cover girl, looking, cover
Look at her hand.
Looking at her hand like everybody else is. Oh, here's the meme situation. Is we need to Photoshop things into all of their hands.
Oh yeah.
This is the assignment. Audible Army, because even if audiblearmy.com is going out of business, you guys are all still the Audible Army. Audible Army, this is your assignment. Photoshop things, keep it clean. Photoshop things into these hands and send them to us. We want to see what you guys come up with. And the best one, I'll send you a little prize pack. Destro in his business and casual attire. And I think this kind of reinforces the idea that they're maybe swapping heads around, because that is the exact same head on both of those.
Well, we haven't made it to the point in the comic yet where he switches masks with all of his S&M ancestors.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, right. I love that. We already saw it in the comic, but I do love that we see the little peak of leopard print on the inside of the jacket there.
Oh, and he's a no socks with dress shoes kind of guy.
Yeah.
Dude, that's visual shorthand for villain.
Yep. He is not Mormon.
Updated look for Duke. Very interested in this blaster that he has. I like this design. I'm up for more futuristic designs.
He's got a very rock and roll look to him as well.
Well, and that makes me wonder if Rock and Roll's classified look is going to kind of be rolled out to be a standardized Joe uniform look, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I'm
not super crazy about the bandolier, but everything else I absolutely dig.
Well, Rob Liefeld needs
right.
commission work.
I think that's my problem with it. Is there's just so.
Well, here's your problem with it. Is you're up here, you're looking at the bandolier with all the pouches. You're looking at the belt with all the pouches. He's got a cargo pocket and a pouch. Oh no, that's probably a holster. But if this was actually classic Liefeldian work, his knee pads would be pouches.
True.
The tops of his shin guards would be pouches, and then those little things on top of his ankle right there
I'm
would
just
also
saying,
be
I
pouches.
better
His
be
feet would be
seeing
much
these
smaller.
pouches get used.
And the backs of his gloves, also pouches.
Yeah.
All right. Silent interlude. Duke has to have a bandolier. It's in his contract. I agree. Tomax and Zaymot, I love that they're just mirror images.
Right, but I think this is where they screwed up because they
really?
should have. Yes, they should have had their hands facing the other way, so
Yeah.
that Tomax and Zaymot are patty caking. But I do like the one glove,
Yeah.
one bare hand. Like it's a nod. Like the design is kind of a nod to the original look. Like you can see it, but it's definitely updated to fit more, I think, with how serious as villains they are portrayed in the comics.
Yeah, I dig this. It's a great update. This is it goes back to that whole squint test thing, and it resembles the uniform that we've seen Mercer in. So it's they've kind of established this is a look for, I guess, combat gear or whatever.
Now, why did they only give them one gun between the two of them? Like
they have to share the gun.
Do they? Is that what the bare hand
throw
is
me
for?
the gun.
They have to hold hands in order for the gun to work.
They both have to,
because it's bio safety locked
to both of them. That's hilarious. Wotaz says it's Casper Van Dien Duke. See, that gun is straight out of Starship Troopers. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And Casper Van Dien as Duke at one point would have been awesome.
Oh yeah.
I actually, if you wanted to portray Duke as a slightly, in his 40s looking character, Casper Van Dien could still do it. He's still doing like B-level action movies and stunts.
Yeah, that's true, because Duke is could potentially be a little older. That's all right. Let's do it. Let's see.
No comment, Wotaj.
No comment. Let's see. And then new unnamed character. Now, I'm assuming this is a tattoo maybe that this person has, as opposed to being some kind of magic bird shield that he throws at people like Superman in Superman 2. It looks cool without knowing anything about him, whatever. I do like I kind of like the idea, though, that they have more of a plainclothes type representative. And he's got the interesting blaster there, the old school rifle.
Part of me wonders if is this an update of Spirit?
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, that I didn't even think of that.
Because that is definitely a Native American design.
Right.
Yeah.
Eagle artwork. And they're, purposefully showing that on the underside of his glove, like there is either something, like it's either open to some sort of mark on his hand, or there is something in the glove to kind of, I don't know.
Well, it looks like he's got it on both hands. It's just we're seeing it.
Right.
One.
Good point.
Interesting. So yeah, just then this, you guys,
fire. That should be a poster.
So let's say 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago, you go to most Joe fanboys and you say, all right, guys, here's the pitch. Cobra Law in outer space. Most of them, their heads would have just exploded Scanner style.
Before you even finished the law part.
Well, right. Yeah.
But
I am so hyped for this. First of all, I'm glad I went ahead and got the Void Rivals, the first trade, because it's great and have been catching up. All these comics are great. They just are. Noel, will you be following the adventures of Pythona?
Possibly. Yeah, I mean, I would like to eventually get around to catching up with all of these Transformers and Void Rivals books as well.
All right, here we go. Are we ready? Is it time?
Real
for the big
quickly,
news? Okay.
Yorktown Joe says that bird is Raptor's General Ledger, and the unnamed character shot him dead. We will get to General Ledger here in a moment.
Yeah, I need to know about this because I saw that for the first time today, and I was like, "What is a general ledger?" But we'll get there. All right. First of all, Emily's back.
Yay.
Very happy to see Emily hanging out with the guys, Emily, Lenny, and Tony. I watched this panel. I did not watch the audience panel because both feeds that I looked at, the audio was so bad, I just couldn't tolerate it. So this is the only thing I watched over the weekend, and it was, you know, it did the job.
Mm-hmm.
What else, Kristian? Did you check anything else out?
So I watched this. I watched the Star Wars panel. I watched the Marvel Legends panel. I watched the Fwoosh's separate interview with Lenny, which, holy crap, that they let that go out is amazing because the audio is absolutely atrocious.
Oh,
It is completely blown out. And granted, they have him doing the hold the lavalier mic, you know, that should be pinned here. They have him holding it like a regular mic. And Lenny already has a booming voice, but whoever was doing audio for them cranked it so everything kind of has this sound to it. And I'm like,
oof.
This is going to be 12 minutes of roughness. And he didn't really say anything different that he hadn't already said in the panel. So nothing new out of it.
Okay.
But I do love, even though they never acknowledged it, that is background is totally Jim and the Holograms box packaging art. So kudos.
Why did that go in twice? Sorry, I'm interacting with with the audience here.
I am wondering if it's because
we both typed the exact same thing at the same time.
At the exact same time. That's how connected we are now.
That's right. That's why this show is so good. All right, moving along. Here it is. The Rattler, which we got to do a Rattler check-in, a Rattler check-in. 11,715 backers. It's stalled a little bit, which every HasLab does. Don't panic. And look, we got to the patches, and that's all anybody really cared about, right? I think once we got to the patches, everybody was like, "Oh, I'm good. We don't need to get it any further. Patches are good." Okay, we'll talk about the patches in a minute. First, we're going to talk about dimensions. The Rattler is 33.53 inches long.
That's a big old boy.
9.88 inches high with the landing gear down, and 32.04 inches wide. Now, if you're having trouble visualizing that, let me help everybody out. So imagine this was 32 inches wide.
But now the 9 inches, was that with the wings folded up?
You guys, this is 32 inches. That's a very large object.
That's what my concern is when I saw that, because that's not even going to fit on like any of my Billy shelves with like, even if it's extended out, because those are only like 29.75 inches long. So I'm going to have to figure out where this guy's going to go. I mean, I guess hang from the ceiling.
Yeah, well, and that's it can be done. You can hang it from the ceiling. It's going to take you're going to have to buy a little higher test fishing line, but it can for sure be done. It's just really beautiful photography. I love that they actually have, in the past they have not had models to show us at launch.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very exciting that, and it's probably due to the success of the past HasLabs that we do have a model this time, that they had the confidence to move ahead with this step in production or in development, I guess. The interior lights, of course, look beautiful. We kind of, to an extent, knew what to expect with this.
A few surprises.
So as we go through these pictures, you guys tell me what were when this was revealed, what were your thoughts? Where are you on this one, Noel? It sounds like you're in.
Yeah, I haven't put my money down or my pledge down yet, but it's going to happen.
There was a lot about this actually that surprised me because I was meh about it before. It's not a vehicle that I have any sort of, youthful attachment to. However, some of the things they showed, like the battle damage, which I know the
Dave's
original
favorite.
one had, but didn't it? This one has like light up effects behind the battle damage. That made sense to me. It looks absolutely amazing. The blue. I was torn. I still am a little bit. I really just do not have the space for something quite that big, and I feel like I don't know. If I hang it from the ceiling, it's still going to take up like my entire toy room. The unlocks. I mean, do we want to go?
We'll get there.
There
We're going to
just
talk about
yet?
we're going to talk about the features first.
Okay.
The loadout, there are 12 removable pylons that attach under the wings, offering dog bone connections. So all of these, the things under the wings can be removed, leaving a wing that doesn't, like, if you don't want all the armaments on there, then you can have a wing that doesn't have all these pegs sticking out of it, which I think is a nice design touch. 2 Systrom cluster bombs with visible bomblets. 2 70mm precision guided rocket launchers, 2 AEA-56 quick thrust short range missiles, 2 EO, that's Captain EO, 118 electro optical renegade missiles, 2 thermonuclear bombs, 2 bomb racks, which hold 6 total PL-M184 unguided bombs. I think that's MI-84, sorry. And then the manual thumb wheel rotates the muzzle of the Carry CDV-9B Jawbreaker nose cannon, which I love that they retained that feature from the original, because that was always, flying that around, that was always one of the most fun things about it, is turning that little gun in the front. 2 large blast effects with the peg and side dog bone connection. 2 medium blast effects, 2 small blast effects, and 2 small blue laser beams.
Pew,
This
pew.
to me is a very satisfactory loadout for this item.
Mm-hmm. I do kind of wish that they had the bomb rack that they did with the 3 on the single, like the single
They
rack
do.
peg.
It's right here.
Wait,
I
which one?
just read it. 2 bomb racks, which hold 6 total PL-MI-84 unguided bombs.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so just not in this picture.
No, they're right there. They're right beside the blast effects.
Ah, that's what those are.
Oh,
Okay.
So yeah, this literally, I think This literally has everything you could expect a Rattler to have.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite nice.
So to move on to the tiers, let's get excited. Well, we've got
The tiers are what's going to happen when the credit card hits in about 6 weeks.
So we potentially have 3 figures. It includes Wild Weasel, who I think looks great.
I was not expecting, after 40 years of not knowing what Wild Weasel looked like, for that to be his face.
No, I was not expecting blonde hair.
No.
I wonder what the inspiration is for that.
I mean, he has the scarring and everything.
And then we're jumping ahead a little bit, but that's okay. At 14,000 backers, the second tier is the Cobra Gunner figure, which is about exactly what you'd expect from a Rattler gunner. And then at 18,000 backers, the third tier is a Pilot Baroness. Of course, people jumped and said, look, they're just reusing the Retro Scarlet. And that's not at all. It's not even close. If you look at the torso, if you look at the upper body, if you look at the boots, like this is completely different. New tooling that I'm sure we will see again in some form, whether she gets made or not. But looks great. We've got a better picture of her a little bit further on. But you guys, first, we got to talk about, look at these swanky patches, huh? Already unlocked. The excitement is palpable.
I finally understand how because I wasn't collecting Black Series back then, but I now understand how all the Star Wars felt with the Rancor reveals. Because these are
a little better than a cardboard backdrop. Well, okay, wait. Quality
these cost them probably less than 10 cents.
Quality and value wise, I think these are better than a cardboard backdrop. However, I take issue with the fact that they're not part of the toy. Like this is bizarrely extraneous stuff, and apparently Lenny explained it as they wanted to keep the cost down, and this was the way to do it, rather than doing another figure that would have driven the cost up over was it 325?
Yeah.
They wanted to keep it at. Look, I'm not mad about the patches, but nobody is saying they feel really good about this being one of the tiers. The best thing about this is the reference to Tank Smashers and my hope that next year we're going to get a tank.
My thought on it was, well, one of the things that was a negative for the Rattler to begin with is that the vehicle only holds 2 figures. The Hiss, you could load that thing out with that storage area. With the Dragonfly, you've got the paratroopers can hang off of the skids, but you don't have anywhere to put other figures for this one.
Right.
The only other thought I had was if they kind of wanted to go back to an Easter egg, going way back to the Sky Striker, they could have tossed in a ketchup and mustard as a flight crew, because you could cobble those together with a bunch of existing parts. No new tooling required for any of that stuff.
Interesting. Okay. Wotaj asks, maybe Baron Richthofen was blonde. Baron Richthofen, better known as the Red Baron. And I'm looking at a picture now. It's black and white, but very possible that he was blonde. Not a lot of color pictures from the from that time,
from the era of World War I.
Right. But maybe not a bad call. I mean, I've always thought the reason Wild Weasel was red was because of the Red Baron. As a lifelong Peanuts fan,
Maybe it should have just included these from the beginning. Only have
Two
3
tiers.
tiers that
Two. It
are.
would only be two.
Oh yeah, it would be only 2.
I think they organized it the best way that they could, because nothing could be said about the base offering itself. It's as good as it could possibly be. The budget did not allow for a tier of figure, or a figure the quality of which they have been putting as tiers. I just, like I said, I don't care about the patches, but at the same time, everything else about the HasLab, I have always said the base offering has to be enough for me. When I back something, I'm backing the base offering, and anything after that, don't get me wrong, I want it, but if the base offering is not worth it to me, I don't back it. And that's, I stood firm with that on that Nitro Arena, because I did not feel the base offering was worth it. I didn't back it, and apparently everybody agreed with me because it didn't get funded.
And is this the first JUL HasLab where they've showed us all the unlocks right up front? Because wasn't it like a reveal a week with the Dragonfly?
Well, it was a reveal as they got unlocked, I believe.
Yeah. The hiss. Did they show the hiss unlock?
Well, they did when the hiss. It was just like the armor pieces and all that. But then as it went, obviously, when it blew away their expectations, the figure reveals were.
Well, and also the hiss and the Dragonfly both had. Didn't they both have early bird figures? Or am I getting that mixed up with other things?
Hiss had the
tactician
thing, yeah.
Oh, is that all it was? That if it hit a certain amount, we got to vote on what the tactician looked like?
The colors, remember?
What were I don't remember the conditions of the vote, though. Because I can't remember if the tactician was an early bird, and if you backed it in the early bird time, you got to vote. But everybody
who got a hiss got a tactician.
Got to vote. Yeah, that's right. Well, no, I knew everybody got the tactician, but everybody got to vote.
Yeah, I think we got to vote on the initial one because I didn't back the hiss until like the last week.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't get to vote on the the final.
Well, regardless, I still think the value is there with the base offering for the Rattler. Here's a closer look.
I was trying to remember with the Sky Striker, but the Sky Striker, they threw in those Cobra figures at the last minute just to get it over the initial funding. Right. So we never got unlocked tiers for that one.
No, we got tiers unlocked.
Oh, we got tiers on that one.
The Sky Striker only didn't make it to Ketchup and Mustard, but we unlocked Ripcord,
Scarlet.
Those were both unlocks.
Were those okay? Were those?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was the other figure, the
Cobra and the Cobra ground crew guy.
Well, there was the co-pilot that was part of the initial base offering.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
So the Cobra Rattler Gunner. Here's a little closer look. You've got two different portraits to use, both which look different from anything we've gotten in Classified. I appreciate that. I love that it looks like the visor is a nice translucent green. Okay. I thought there was some kind of early bird condition. Silent Interlude says Hiss had to hit 8,000 backers in like the first week to get the tactician. That's what I thought. I thought there was a condition to that figure.
I was thinking about that too, because the Hiss hit 8,000 record.
Like,
I mean, it still holds the record.
Something.
Well, I think it was like 9 hours, but it was also launched at like 1 p.m. Whereas I'm wondering if this one, because this one was up to 6,000 within like just a few hours. So I'm wondering if they had announced this and like released it at 1 p.m. instead of at 7 p.m., if it would have beaten that record.
Oh yeah, because everybody would have still been at work and paying attention to the internet, because that's all anybody does at work.
Because once it hit like 11 o'clock at night, it just stopped funding until about 8 o'clock the next morning.
So I want to bring this point from Rekship up. Whoops. Because it ties into what you've been saying, Dave. Do you see the price as only the base offering and the tiers are freebies, or do you see the price as what the fully funded HasLab is worth with all the unlocked tiers?
I think I was pretty clear about it, that the base offering has to have the value to me, or I do not back it. I do not take in any crowdfunding the tiers. I don't take for granted, because you can't, because you may not get them. So the base offering alone has to be worth it to me.
But do you think, maybe I misunderstood what he was saying, because does Hasbro see it that way? Like, obviously, the tiers that they unlock,
Oh, now
for the most part,
Hasbro,
like those figures, we know. Like when we saw Glinda, we knew we're getting Retro Scarlet.
right?
They're not making one-off characters for, or one-time use molds for a project like this, because
No,
then that would add significantly to the pricing.
No, this is the toy business. I'm sure Hasbro is baking most of the developmental cost into the base offering cost. There's no doubt in my mind of that. But I also don't have a problem with that.
And my other thought about the gunner, because of the web gear, that is so 1982 green shirts. So with them announcing like the retro rock and roll, do you think that the chest and the web gear is closer to what we should expect?
Uh,
I wouldn't know, not for rock and roll, because rock and roll is just going to have the bandoliers.
Yeah, but that is the same web gear of like short
a grunt
fuse.
or a short
Yeah.
fuse, or well, I guess because Grunt's got the ones that actually just clip to his belt, but short fuse and the first Hawk just had the ones that went over.
yeah, but
their
Hawk
shoulders
has a
like that.
knife and a grenade, right?
Well, he and short fuse have the same body.
But I think there's a knife and a grenade on the web gear. I don't think it's totally plain like that.
Oh, and H. Ford says the Rattler Gunner seems like a good base for Ace with the additional overlays / web gear.
I saw that sign, and it opened up my eyes as a base for Ace. Well, they've done Ace with this like chaps situation before. Or no, Slipstream has that, right?
Well, no, in the
Doesn't
modern
Slipstream
line
have
they
the
did
chaps?
they did Ace.
Oh, Ace
like
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got to move on, or we're going to be here all
Yep.
night, and Lord knows we don't want that. Baroness with 3 different hairstyles in addition to the helmet. This figure looks great. I'm excited to see how it gets repainted and re-released down the line. And we speculated forever and ever. Oh, and you know what I just realized? Her rifle. Which we have not seen yet. Outside of certain 3D printers that we may have bought from in the past. Oh, went too far ahead. Got to move back. All right, so we got to finish up our Rattler talk. So Noel, you're pretty sure you're in.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll plunk my money down.
Kristian?
I'm totally on the fence with this one. It's gorgeous. I'm thrilled for everyone that was excited that that's what it was. There's something else that came out of San Diego that is $300 that
right.
also wants my money. So only one of them's gonna win, and I don't know which one it is yet.
So here's where I am on it. As I mentioned before, I've got this Rattler. I like this Rattler. This Rattler is the right size to go. I cannot do any of that with a 33-inch wide Rattler. I have this one. I've got a bronze one up there that I really like. As I said before, I don't want or need a classified Rattler. I'm out. I don't want it. I think it's awesome. I'm sure it's going to be an incredible landmark toy, but I do not need a classified Rattler. I just don't. So I'm out. And as classified goes on, we've talked about this in the past. I think we've started, a year and a half ago or whatever when the Blue Ninjas came out. As classified goes on, there are going to be things that we just skip on. I don't need was SMS, the Cobra.
Yeah.
I don't need it. And, now I'm wondering though, well, do I really need a Stinger? Do I really need any of these vehicles in classified that I've already got smaller versions of that are fun and great? I don't know. I don't know where I am, but I do know I don't need a classified Rattler. Good for everybody that wanted it. I think it's awesome, and I think it looks amazing. And I'll be bummed out that I'm not reviewing it, but I'm not spending that much money on something that I'm just not stoked about. When, as Kristian said, there is a Tiamat that I've been wanting since I was a little kid that is going to make me so much happier than a giant unwieldy version of something I already own. So that's where I am.
Yeah, but he'll eventually graduate and move out. So
Wreckship 85, great minds. I'm legit on the fence with keeping my Stinger pre-order. And to be honest, look, I'll get the Stinger still because the value is absolutely there, and it's just size-wise, just small enough to still be reasonable in my collection. But even
I want to add with you what you just said. That is one thing that Lenny kind of brought up in the Foosh interview, was that, seeing how well the Vamp did, the excitement over the Claw announcement, of getting more smaller and mid-tier vehicles in the line, just like they did back in the 80s. Not every parent could afford a whale, so you got a devilfish. There's nothing wrong with that. So I think, if they're putting stuff like the Claw out, and I have trouble bubbles. I mean, my Cobras can fly.
I am not and will never say they should stop doing HasLabs, because look, I want my tank next year. Eventually, if things keep going the way they're going, I want a whale. I would buy a classified whale because that's a dream item. The Rattler is not a dream item in any way, shape, or form for me. But the whale, any kind of new whale is. And yeah, I know it'd be $500-$600 or whatever insane price it would be, and it would be massive, and I would have to turn it into a coffee table. But that's a dream item to me. The Rattler is not. All right, we got some conversation here. First of all, Road Pig John ordered today the Cobra Mortal and Zartan San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. I know you did, buddy. And the Zartan, I think maybe not so much, but the Cobra Mortal is a must-have for me. Let's see. Yorktown Joe, my brother had the O-Ring Rattler way back when. I wish I could get one of those to do what Dave just did with his. I mean, fortunately, there's a 25th anniversary version. I'm sure they're all very expensive, but, keep an eye out.
Go to toy shows.
I think the only classified vehicles I will get would be a Snowcat or Armadillo for sentimental reasons. Any other ones will only be if I find them super cheap and can't say no. Armadillo in classified, I'd be very interested to see how they handle that. All right, now we have to move on. We already took a little sneaky peek at the claw. Noel, did I see a little negative reaction from you about the claw?
No.
Oh,
I
okay,
am
okay.
super stoked about this. I've been saying for ages that this is like
It's
the
a
perfect
no-brainer.
classified vehicle, and
Absolutely.
it's perfect. Like they did
It
such a great
seems-
job on update it.
It seems huge to me, but I think that's only because I'm used to the 25th anniversary clause. Because if you go back and look at the original, which I've got most of one assembled, and it is about this big compared to the figures.
And they've changed this one up a little bit too. Instead of having the wings that extend, they have the wings that go up.
Yes,
at the end.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
It's
but
got
I
a
think
lot
that
of landing gear.
because those wings are so far out. I think that's why it looks so much bigger too.
Well, and also
the landing gear, I think, that's a good thing, because the original one just has those the handlebars up front. Essentially, are the front landing gear. So
Right,
yeah, I think
right.
having the extra ones will make it more stable.
Yeah, it looks great. I like that we're getting another trooper pilot figure with it that looks a little bit different. I'm stoked about this whenever it comes out. Now, are we expecting Trouble Bubble price?
I'm thinking, yeah, around that same price.
So what? Wait, how much? Trouble Bubble was 55.
It was 50 something.
Isn't that the same price as the? What is the ferret going for?
That's a good question.
What's the tiger? What's the tiger paw going for?
That is also a good question. Hang on, I've got Hasbro Pulse sitting right here.
Okay, well, while you guys are looking at that, I'm going to check in with the chat, because our old pal Wojciech knocking it out of the park again. Paint a set of them red and green, and they'd be Santa Claus.
I love it. There's your Christmas release if you want it, Hasbro. So the Wreckage and the Tiger Paw are 55.
Okay, so that's
Yorktown Joe. I had a 25th Rattler in my hand at Target, but I was there to buy diapers in the early 2000s. I feel like you still probably have a good 40 years before you will need those. But whatever.
I picked those up every
Diapers
time
are
I saw
expensive,
them,
dude.
but I wasn't collecting Joe.
I told myself I'd catch it the next time and never saw it again. A great regret over postponing $25. I hear you, because this, for some crazy reason, last week and this week has been the first times I've ever seen, like the harder to find store exclusives. So I ran across the Tiger Force, Roblox and Tripwire set. I came across the Shockwave and Ram, and I put both of them back on the shelves.
That one blows my mind, because I can't believe you saw any Walmart exclusives in a Walmart.
Yeah,
exactly. I never have seen them.
Apparently, the Roadblock and Tripwire are
common,
in very vast numbers right now. But
like,
the Tiger Paw is reselling for $100 right now, because
they were the only Joe thing. There was one box of them, but I totally get it, because I had to put them back. So I'm like, this wasn't money I was planning on spending right now, because we have all the San Diego stuff coming out.
Oh, speaking of, real quick, so I got my Mad Marauders Spirit and Lowlight. That review is going to go up probably in a couple of weeks, because I got so much stuff already in the can. And then, so San Diego Comic-Con ended yesterday. While it was still going on, my Mattel exclusive arrived. I bought this Thursday, and it got here while San Diego Comic-Con was still going on. Meanwhile, our Hasbro exclusives, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right, back to business. So Claw looks great. No mention. Somebody asked about a stand. No mention of a stand, but I mean, they didn't do a stand for the Trouble Bubble either. And I wouldn't expect it at this scale. And I wouldn't
that's
want
why
it
they
to be
threw
$10 more.
That's why they threw in the extra landing gear, because
that's
well,
right.
this one also comes with a figure stand,
you
as you can see. So I think the idea is that the figure
I
will
didn't even notice
stand
that
up on the figure stand, and it will support the claw.
I saw a stand somewhere else where I didn't feel a stand should be. I wonder if they're going to start making those battle stands standard issue.
That would be great.
Because up until this point, they've only been with retro releases, and with the Crimson Strike Force set, I think it would be very smart to start throwing them in with everything.
Yeah. I mean, I've been buying the 3D printed ones off of eBay, and they were okay, but
yeah, official ones
would be very
people
nice.
would like to have.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to more render reveals. Look at that guy. Woo!
Man, they went hard with the Ron Rudat face on that one.
And I'm glad to see it. And they also went hard with the mustache.
Oh, yeah.
He looks great. What more? Not a lot of room. Like, very often we'll say, "Oh, this looks cool," but I wouldn't mind seeing a retro version. I don't see any room for a retro version with this. This is just killer. It's got the correct blaster. He just looks great, and I love that they added the shooter's glasses. I think that's a nice touch.
Well, the retro version would just be your favorite.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Brazil.
Well, no, that's gotta be a special box set. And then we see Xandar, who does not have nearly enough blue. So this goes in the other direction of I'd like to see a retro version.
Yeah, that one. Well, and that's the other thing too with this one is that Zorana's so perfect, and they really embraced those bright colors on her. And to go the opposite direction with Xandar, it's really disappointing because I don't think they're gonna display well together.
And that's the weird thing, is because he kept driving home that the changes they made to him was to make him complement Zorana. And I'm like, you chickened out on primary colors on him. Like, I mean, I'm still happy with him, but it could have. This is one where I say, with some tweaks, it could have been better.
Wreckship 85, Lenny did say there's deco under the body armor, and it probably is the lightning bolts. But I mean, look, I like this one. I like that they specified he's Zorana's twin. I like that they specified that his scarf is torn off of her jacket.
I thought that was a little creepy.
But yeah, because if you notice, he's got long hair as well. So I think there's room for a retro version.
Even just like if they had just made the headband like pop blue.
Blue, yeah.
Or something like that. Just anything to give him, because he's got no blue on him.
Well, he doesn't match Zartan or Zorana, really. But he does look good. He's just not, he just needs more color. Yeah, and that weapon at the top right is interesting. That's some kind of like weird hatchet, or is that, you know what that is? That Wreckship 85's weapon at the top right is interesting. I think that's an ice scraper for the Thunder Machine, which does not actually have a windshield, so never mind.
But also unless those are arrows in the side of the backpack, I'm.
What's they look like?
Why doesn't he just have a quiver?
No, I think
But
those are
again,
probably
I'm not.
arrows, 'cause it
I'm
looks
not
like his...
I don't hate him, not by any stretch of the imagination. I just think for as good as they made Zorana, he's the twin that was born after her.
Let's see. What do we got next? Okay. So next up, we've got our pre-orders, which I said I was out on these generic military versions.
And then they
But,
sucked you back in.
man, I think this sniper looks great.
I thought that was one of the Bush people from Fortnite. No, I'm kidding.
I love both of the portraits. I really like the design of the uniform, the camouflage parts with the lighter green parts. Yes, it's that sniper rifle again. I don't know. I just really like the way this is put together. And I know for a fact once I get my hands on it and I'm going to put it on the shelf, I'm going to be like, this is boring and this is not really G.I. Joe. Why did I buy this? But I really want to get this thing in hand and review it.
I kind of feel like they could have released this as like a deluxe shooter figure.
Yeah.
As a second version of her. Because like this heck of a loadout here.
Well, hang in there because that could still happen.
That's true.
I was gonna say because I have no interest in getting her, but I do love that ghillie suit, and I
It
hope
looks
they
so
can
good.
figure out a way to work it into the regular classified line.
Well, and I'm wondering, you got the ghillie suit. You know they're going to use it again somewhere. So does this mean we get an ambush figure coming?
I would imagine. Now, I don't think we'll get this exact same cut, but they will absolutely use this material or whatever to get. What? Toy Reclaimer, Road Pig killed the line for me.
Haven't gotten there yet.
We'll get there. We'll get there because
I'm sure we all have thoughts about Road
get
Pig.
ready for Angry Noel.
Holy cow. All right. Well, let's move on. So anyway, I think this looks awesome. Such an exciting figure. But I just know because I thought the same thing about the Sailor and the although I will say this one doesn't have as much junk that's going to fall off when you start posing it. So that's a saving grace of the sniper.
Did they put the wrong hands? Oh no, those are okay. Those are gloves. I see the fingers now.
Okay.
Because I thought they were like they use the same skin tone on both sets of hands. Like no.
So speaking of having too much junk that's going to fall off every time you touch it, this picture is one of my favorite classified pictures that I've seen. I don't know. It just looks really, really cool. I am very disappointed that they said the parachute will not be functional.
Yeah.
That was the biggest WTF of all of San Diego Comic-Con to me. Like that blows my mind.
Yep.
This one I think looks great as well. I like that he's got the full face camo. I love the design of the uniform. I like the colors that they went with because he really pops. This is another one that's going to look different from anything else that we have on the shelf right now. It's crazy to me that it's a soft goods backpack. So this one also, it looks great. I didn't want to be excited about these, but this looks like an awesome action figure.
He looks like kind of a cross between a ripcord and a hit and run.
Yes, rip and hit.
Yeah,
hit and rip,
rip and run.
Our good friend Rachel Salinas is now in the house. What's up, Rachel? And she says, as I'm assuming he jumps out of the plane, why is this shoe not working? Splat.
I would say you probably had to have a pretty large, because they mentioned how big it is. It's like, is it 10 inches? I think was what they said the diameter was.
Yeah, I guess
you got to have it
much
way
bigger
than that to be functional.
However,
because these figures
you guys
are heavy.
know me. anybody who has watched my reviews knows how I am. I am absolutely going to be throwing this off of something to see how effective it is or isn't. That's just how I roll. All right. We get our Apology Falcon and Quarrel, which we saw before San Diego Comic-Con. So neither one of you guys are in on either of the last figures, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered.
They're fantastic, but I just don't have room for them.
And look, I get it. Like I said, I know for a fact when I go to put them on the shelf, I'm going to be like, why did I get these? As opposed to these two, which I absolutely love that Quarrel.
Yeah, I love Quarrel. I can't justify $55 to get the 2-pack for one figure.
I like the Falcon. I will probably put that head on the regular. Well, you know what? I say that. Okay, let me backtrack. So I still think even with this head, a retro Falcon is needed, because if you go back, the head wasn't the only problem on that Falcon. The camo is so washed out and low contrast. We need him treated like Stalker, like they're doing with the retro Stalker. But I like this figure. I would take those shoulder pads off. I'm very glad they figured out a better way to do shoulder armor with the with it fixed into the shoulder rather than around the bicep, because that just doesn't work for me. But I think once you take those off, this is going to be a cool looking figure. I like it.
I think he needs it, though, because for as often as Quarrel goes running out of the house and he will have to go save her from the zombies.
What?
He just won't stay in the house.
Oh, Kristian.
I still say that the smart move would have been to put Quarrel with the Z-Force Ram, or Z-Force if you prefer, Ram, and not had Shockwave come with the Ram.
But did she come with a Ram?
She can't. Yeah, she was.
Oh, okay. I thought it was some other motorcycle.
Yeah, it was a Z-Force Ram, so it was the same.
Okay.
I mean, the same mold, but just with the like those red accents on it, red or green.
And this is because Jeff Butler brought this up. So the steel core helmets are the replacement for the previous Night Force gas masks, right? So I kind of get the feeling ever since the Vamp that the steel core helmet is now like the thing that they push, and
I
looks
think
great, but I would never display those figures with it.
My guess is that his point is more, hey, we had a storyline thing going with everybody coming with gas masks, and I guess we've abandoned that.
Oh, yeah.
Which one would assume that these steel core helmets have some kind of filtration system like a Stormtrooper helmet. But I do kind of agree with that. Like, I liked the gas mask gimmick, and this isn't the same thing. But I also like a standardized Joe helmet. Now, having said that, I don't want them to be helmets. I want them to be alternate heads. I do not. Wreckage's helmet does not fit on him super good. What's another recent one? Oh, Wreckage and Shockwave. Neither one of theirs fit on particularly well. I would much rather them be alternate heads. All right. So I did order this one because I like the Falcon, but the Quarrel is a must-have for me.
Yeah, I may, if I find it, if this one gets discounted like a lot of these wind up doing, I may wind up picking it up then.
Noel, you're such a basic Joe fan. Oh, wait for the discount.
Or I might just start trolling eBay when these start shipping and see if I can find a loose Quarrel.
But because, I mean, there is every flavor of Joe fan you can imagine. There is somebody out there who's going to want the Falcon and not the Quarrel.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are angry that this Quarrel character's even in there to begin with.
Well, speaking of angry, I'm angry at Kristian because now every time I hear Quarrel, I'm going to think of stupid Rick Grimes.
Quarrel. I watching the Acolyte every time they said Quarrel. I said the same thing.
You watched the Acolyte?
I
I'm
did.
sorry.
I even did a podcast about it last week.
Oh, jeez. All right, Starduster. Now, I am not as familiar with the lore of Starduster as, although I do have a 25th anniversary one up there flying around. You guys tell me, what do you think of this Starduster? You're much more well, Noel particularly. I know you're more invested in the character than I am.
He looks great, and he comes with a box of cereal, so that's good.
Which is not in this picture. What are they doing?
No. I mean, obviously, this was the mail-in from Action Star cereal, so tying that back in is very nice. And I mean, I think they did a great job of updating him. The colors look good. He's. I know that there was some. I think it was speculated at first that they were just reusing Duke's head, but it actually is a brand new head sculpt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like. Oh, go ahead, Kristian.
Well, I was saying, like, this is another one that they had name dropped before, and I thought
we had a render too, didn't we?
Did we? Oh,
I don't think we saw him until this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, or like totally forgot, because when the picture started coming out from the breakfast that morning, I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. This is an amazing figure.
I mean, it really is.
This, when I think of like a deluxe figure in the main line, this is the standard that I would expect. I mean, I just think he looks great. Again, he comes with the cereal, so now I can have him and my General Mills monsters, because they come with cereal boxes as well, sitting around watching Saturday morning cartoons. I love that we're getting it, another jetpack without having to get more Steel Corps members.
And we got a tease for another Cobra vehicle with this one too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. They had the Fang and the
Fang is
the artwork.
the artwork.
That's right. And if you'll notice, I love that he comes with both helmets. So you've got the original, the recolor of the Duke helmet to resemble the original Starduster, but then also the Steel Corps flight helmet. I love that. And he's got a hand specifically sculpted to hold the cereal box.
Mm-hmm.
Comes with the Sunbow blaster, which is, I want everybody to come with that, although I wish they would pick a color. I do not need it to match the figure. Just make them all like a nice gray. I think I would like a dark gray. But otherwise, he's great. He's exactly what I wanted him to look like. Although Silent Interlude, I wish he was more aqua like the retro Gung Ho. And see, that's the 25th one that I have is more of an aqua color. But I think the original is, what is the original?
I can go grab him.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. I love it when Noel has visual aids.
Right? I mean, looking at the photos of him, because I needed to be reminded. I think the original was even more of an aqua blue, but
he's definitely more of a baby blue. So he is he is very gung ho.
Well, then that leaves room for a retro release.
That's true, but are you going to get a retro carded version of this with the backpack?
Right, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, and mine unfortunately has Gung Ho's gun. It doesn't have the silver grenade launcher.
Now, they said this was going to be a PulseCon exclusive, so we have a little bit. They didn't say anything about the packaging.
I thought they showed it.
Did they?
Wasn't it on the table at the breakfast thing?
Oh, I'll have to go back and look.
Am I crazy?
Well, I remember seeing the packaging.
Huh?
I remember
Okay.
seeing the
Yeah,
They need well between now and then they need to change it, and he needs to come in the cereal box.
Jeff Butler says, Dave, isn't that a Von Erich claw hand? Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, I believe it is.
Baron von Raschke.
Maybe that's a Zac Efron portrait. Maybe that's what that is. Okay. Here we go. I guess it's time. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I think it's a good-looking figure. It's just not what I wanted for Road Pig.
Oh, no. What did your Road Pig look like?
Well, the face is too goofy. That's the one. That's the biggest thing that throws me is that both portraits they showed, he doesn't look menacing. He looks like a Disney villain. The body, like, it looks better in some of the other pictures I've seen, but like when I first saw this in their stream, I just was like, why is he so bulky? Like, why is he so thick in the middle?
That's what I wanted him to look like. I want him to look like a big, fat football linebacker. I never wanted him to be like a Paul Orndorff or whatever.
Well, I like the original had the very like broad upper body with the big shoulders, and that's just the way that I envisioned him. And I'm also like, I like the figures with pets, but we're throwing in a lot of figures with pets that don't need the pets.
Yeah, okay, so I do agree with you that he's a little Disney villainy looking in the face. You are not wrong about that, but it doesn't bother me. I'm okay with it.
It took me a while because when they showed it, I was trying to figure out because the face sculpt itself doesn't bother me. I do wish they would have given him like angry eyes on the yelling face, because that's just sort of like I see Road Pig as more of a violent, angry person. But I see Brendan Fraser when I look at that sculpt. The face sculpt.
He would not have been a bad Road Pig.
And I like the thick body. Like, it differentiates him from a big boa. I will absolutely be removing the stomach tattoo. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but in Overwatch, Road Pig has a stomach tattoo, and I kind of feel like you gave a stomach tattoo to Road Hog. I don't know. Lenny's comment about the cinder block hammer, like, include the other weapons you want to, sure, but to justify it as, well, isn't the cinder block just a one-time use thing? Well, like, it's suspension of disbelief.
Oh, see, I liked his logic. I mean, it comes with it, so I mean, there's no complaint there. But
yeah,
I agree with him. You hit something with a cinder block once, and you're done. You gotta have something else to back it up.
And Noel, I'm actually with you on this one as far as the pet goes.
I am too.
It's
cool. I love it, but he didn't need it.
I'm sorry, honestly, no pun intended, even though he comes with the dog, they screwed the pooch on it, because when you get to Raptor, a person who should
dude, we'll talk about that.
Like I said, we'll get there.
We'll get there. I also didn't need him to come with that shield, and I didn't need him to come with that shield if the handle's still on backwards.
Well, because didn't the Sonic version, but his shield, wasn't it like corrugated metal? I'm gonna look that up real quick, because I thought there was Yeah, the Sonic Fighter.
So overall, I love this figure. I love the pig's head Warhammer.
Yeah, and look, I pre-ordered him. Don't get me wrong, but it's just I was a little disappointed with both of the Dreadnought reveals we got in this little round.
I am looking at this picture we have right in front of us. Here are the things that I did not need this to have: the alternate pig mask head, the dog, the hook, the shield. And as much as I love the pig's head Warhammer, the cinder block would have been fine with me, even though I agree with Lenny.
Well, they could have. I mean, they could have thrown those both in with both those heads, and if you didn't have the dog or the shield or the mask, you could have sold this for a regular.
I don't think
price
so,
point.
but here is my guess. The size of the figure required them to throw stuff in to get the price to where it needed to be. My guess is what we're looking at was essential to make this figure happen the way they wanted it to happen.
So Rexship85 says, I was hoping Lenny would give him that highway sign shield, but he said that it was never an option because of the additional tooling cost. So looking at the photo here on yojo.com of the forearm shield and Road Pig's crossbow, I feel like, okay, that hammer was a new tooling. The dog was a new tooling.
Well, the head is. The rest of it's junkyard, right? Isn't that just junkyard?
Oh, you mean, yeah. I just feel like the frickin' saw head, you could have skipped those and given us these other pieces that were just a little bit more, but who knows, maybe because we know he loves Road Pig so much, we'll get a retro.
Well, and I think this was Lenny's vision of Road Pig, and my gosh, at this point, I think he deserves to have a little fun with what is clearly his favorite character.
And this is why we have 3D printer customizers out there.
This is Lenny's Spectre, Mighty Spectre.
Because Lenny is a thick boy. Do you think that he just drew himself?
Well, someone said the portrait looks like Lenny if he didn't have a beard.
Yeah, I can see that.
And gold teeth, which I actually kind of like that.
Look, I dig everything about this. I agree that there are certain things that I wouldn't have done the way that they've been done, but I really like the overall package. So I have some maybe points of disagreement, but there's nothing that's even close to stopping me from wanting the figure.
The chaps is also an interesting choice too, because the original figure just had like black pants with the cod piece.
Yeah.
So they did take a different route with that.
I'm fine with that.
I like
that's a
that
thing.
though.
That's fine.
Also, he needs an anarchy tattoo on his arm, and that's
I don't know what that
sorely
tattoo
missing.
is.
That big red anarchy tattoo was something.
Well, they already
used it. No, he's got it.
Got it.
It's on his shoulder.
He's got it.
Because,
it's right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I do remember seeing it.
Okay.
And then he's got something over on. I don't know what's underneath it, but we'll find out in October, I think. All right, moving on. Raptor, right out of the gate, I looked at this Raptor and I said, no! Even though early on, like a couple of years ago, whenever it was, Alex popped in and says, I hope everyone is doing well this evening. We are doing very well this evening because we're talking about G.I. Joe. Rachel says, at least he's wearing pants underneath those chaps.
True.
We're going to get a Blue Oyster Bar version of Road Pig down the line. Okay. So early days, long ago when we were talking about Raptor being in the line, at a point when I don't know that anybody really believed Raptor might ever make it into the line. I said I think it would be great to have a super deluxe pack that had a soft goods cape and mechanical wings like the Vulture from Spider-Man. That was my desire. And then as we move further and further into the line and we get more and more outlandish things, we get a Crocmaster. We get a lot of weird stuff. I'm leaning more and more towards, well, I want a more traditional Raptor. I saw this and I didn't like it, but I have done a complete 180 and now I love it. And part of the reason I love it is this, because I think that just looks really cool. And they have kept the basic elements of Raptor. He's got his bird hood. He's got his necklace. He's feathery. He's got his domino mask. My only issue,
Lenny said, it's not a domino mask.
Right? It's actually like visual receptors or whatever.
Whatever.
My only issue with this now, I do wish he came with an alternate soft goods cape, but again, we'll go back to that old retro card back, possibility. I cannot believe this bird is just a slug.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
I loved everything about this except for that. And
how can you do that with freedom? I need this bird to fight freedom.
Road Pig with an animal that he didn't even come with in the original line, so no one would be missing it. To pull another Polly, if it's going to be a slug, that's okay. At least put it in flight mode.
You're right.
And really, like, he should come with more, because he's a falconer. He doesn't these other ones have a pet, a bird, a dog. He's a falconer. He's got a collection. So you'd think maybe you even throw in a couple more different types of birds with him.
That would have been really, really cool. I would rather pay Road Pig price for Raptor with a whole aviary of birds and a soft goods cape.
Yeah,
I would have been totally stoked about that. Rexship 85 says weird that he shares Nunchuck's claws. I don't know, because they're like talons. That part's reuse doesn't really bother me.
Wait till you get a Vega figure in this line. Come on.
I went online and was looking in all my usual spaces, and as of right now, you can't find anybody that's making 1/12 scale in birds in flight. All the ones that I could find are meant to go in a bird cage. So hopefully the 3D somebody will design something upscale what he originally came with.
Someone with an extra
here's what I want.
And paint there. Yeah.
Well, okay, real quick. Jeff Butler, what if you put these wings on the tan desert snake eyes? It would not make tan desert snake eyes look any cooler. Rexship 85, this Raptor kind of reminds me of Pursuit of Cobra Zartan a little bit, and that figure rules, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I want. 3D printers or custom people, whoever you are. I want a full, Barbarella-style birdcage habitat for Raptor, with a little swing for him to sit on, just full of birds, sitting birds, flying birds, attacking birds. I want a giant bird cage. And then somebody else get on that and give me a Robin Williams and a Nathan Lane to go with that.
Oh my God.
I need the world of birdcage situation here. Hank Azaria.
I was going to say, I need a Hank Azaria if I'm getting birdcage
definitely
figures.
Need Hank Azaria.
I mean, because I just kept thinking, as it is now, this is finally going to get me to pull the trigger on getting a table, like an actual office sort of setting, for 1/12 scale figures so that General Ledger can be sitting at a desk crunching numbers while Raptor gets to be doing all the fighting.
So let me say this real quick. If anybody watching or listening right now, if you know someone who has never experienced Audible Interlude, explain Audible Interlude thusly. It is the one show where they will make connections between the movie The Birdcage, G.I. Joe, and Barbarella. We bring all things together here at Audible Interlude. So explain this General Ledger thing to me. Did they say that's the bird's name?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually listed in his HasLab listing, which I think is it's a good name. I enjoy it.
It is a good name. He's an accountant.
Yeah.
It's a ledger.
But isn't there an Admiral Ledger? Like, that's a thing.
There is an Admiral Ledger, yes.
That seems weird to me.
But he's a general.
Admiral Ledger, because they didn't want to put Admiral Keelhaul in the G.I. Joe cartoon for some reason.
Ship Raptor Talon. I did not.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I like the fact that he has a name, but I guess they got to keep a trademark somehow.
And General Ledger.
Yeah, the name thing was a little too Motu Classics for me. I'm just going to ignore that part.
I mean, it could be Albert M. Pine or Skip A. Stone.
Who is Skip A. Stone?
That's Cutter's name.
That's incredible. All right, I take it back. Chip Talon is fine. All right. Moving on. I don't know where I am with this one.
Like the first images, because we saw before we saw the reveals for Comic-Con, there was another show taking place in Hong Kong, which technically took place on the same day, but you're across the international date line, so everything starts a little earlier over there. So we got pictures of these, and we saw this like Shadow Crimson Guard, and from those initial pictures, I was like really excited. But then when I actually saw this version, he's just a little much.
First of all, I'd like to say there's no such thing as a little much.
That was something else that Lenny mentioned in the Whoosh interview. So I guess maybe there was some other stuff. But he said, we love getting all new original characters in line, like we did with the Mole Rats, like we're doing with the Twilight Guard. And I'm like, you mean the Shadow Crimson Guard, right? That
but it isn't
in the modern,
because this has purple and orange on it, and the Shadow Crimson Guard is just black.
Oh, look, Malibu Stacy has a new hat.
And when I first saw these, I thought, I do not need this. And then the more I look at them on the Steel Brigade General or whatever the heck he is, the blue and the gold and the green, man, they're just popping for me. I really, really like the look. And then the Shadow Guard, I mean, throw some purple and orange my way, and I'm happy. Come on.
Yeah.
And the fact that all of the accessories have those color hits, too, and I know what I said earlier about the Sunbow Blaster, but in this instance, like, this is an exciting looking, visually an exciting looking set.
Unpopular opinion, I do really like the Twilight Guard, and I will watch eBay to get just him, because I already had this conversation with Wreckship, and that's why I know it's an unpopular opinion. I just do not need any more Steel Brigade.
I think my only issue with the Twilight Guard, I mean, I like the soft goods cape on him, but he reminds me too much of an Iron Grenadier like that, and I want them to release this figure without that as a separate troop builder.
And I think they probably would. Like, I think you'll see an actual Shadow Guard. Whether it's a retro card back release or just a mainline release, I think that'll happen for sure, and it'll just be a Black Crimson Guard. But this just looks so neat to me. I really, really dig these colors. However, having said that, I know as I go to put this Steel Core guy on the shelf, I'm going to be like, ugh, this is so bland. Why did I get this? Kevin Riddle is in the house. He says the loadout for the Steel Core is crazy. It is crazy. And see, this is where I'm at odds with myself because I said I loved the color hits on all the accessories. The problem is it makes them too unique to these troops.
Mm-hmm.
You can't give one of these blue rifles to somebody else.
So you're saying no one else on the Joe team deserves color?
I think
My
that you could
God,
give them
you live in a gray world.
I think you could give these to any Mad Marauders figure and they'd look fine.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. That's a good call.
Real quickly, only because now we have 2 Star Wars references in the chat. Rachel Salinas, this set looks like Paz Vizsla versus Kylo Ren, which
you're not wrong.
100%. And where did it go? Jeff Butler's this Twilight Guard is the Cobra Captain Phasma. Now, if they put out a female version, I'm sticking to that.
They need to do a female Crimson Guard.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, we've got plenty of female regular Cobra Troopers now.
Get some Vipers, get some Crimson Guards.
Next up, the bizarrely photoshopped Triple T cup.
Someone used the magic
right.
Yeah, the background remover, and they didn't realize they took off way too much.
The polish, because this happens to me. I have 3 different things that I have to use when I'm trying to remove a background, because each of the 3 works slightly differently depending on what it is, and I never know which one is going to be successful. And clearly they used polish when they should have used online BG remover.
You just need to use Legion Cub, because 3 programs to remove a background is a lot. But how did
trust me when I tell you, you don't want me sending you a picture every time I need a background removed.
Just use Pixlr.
Pixlr doesn't remove backgrounds, does it?
Yeah, it does.
What?
If you pay for it.
I've got the paid version.
Oh.
Where is background removal in here?
I've used it before. I just haven't. I don't know.
Because I use it in polish. Let me find something that's got a background. We're putting this to the test right now.
Rekship says that Pixar does as well. All I know is I hope no one lost their job over this, but I hope a group of people got a very stern talking to, because this made it through all the approval processes without anyone going, wait a minute, does that look weird?
Somebody's going to have to tell me where exactly background removal is, because I've been using Pixlr for years and I have never found background removal in here. And I'm looking at it right now and I do not see it. And this is the paid version. So somebody tell me, where do you find background removal in Pixlr?
Well, I think more importantly,
nothing is more important than that.
Where do you find the Energon goodies?
Yeah, right. Oh, he should have come with those. That would have been so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So let's actually talk about the thing in front of us, though. Okay, so I think Cup looks great. Now, as we between the 3 of us discovered over the weekend, though, I do not have an eye for Transformers. So I leave it to the Transformers experts. How does Cup look?
Aside from the giant backpack, I like the look of the robot. I think he's a lot more, like, he looks big and beefy. He's got, like a really thick upper body. He looks tough. And he's not quite as kibbly, again, except for that big backpack. The first pictures we saw, because this one was weird, they announced this, talked about it going up for pre-sale, and didn't show us any pictures of it in that initial stream. We got like some grainy pictures from the panel, and then they later showed the actual official pictures.
I think for a Transformer, it looks fine. I mean, it definitely out of most of the other crossover figures, it looks the most like it transforms fully into a robot. Like there's
Yeah.
no, seat hanging off the back where you stand Leatherneck.
Proportionally to me, he looks the best.
I just,
Mhm.
if you take Cup's head off of him, is that Cup?
I feel like the arms look like him. Well,
'Cause
and
my-
really, even the chest though, doesn't the chest?
That's what they kept saying, and I'm like, to
No.
me at least, I don't see it. But that's okay. I hope he sells very, very well so that the line continues and you guys can get your Optimus Prime.
That's gotta happen. Well, I am the Stephen Colbert of Transformers. I don't see differences in Transformers. As for Leatherneck and Sarge, we really don't get a very good look at them in this.
No.
But they look good. I think Leatherneck looks like he has a much more expressive face than the original Leatherneck. I like that they're doing little updates to these. And it looks like neither one of these is going to have the issues that I had with Zorana and Zartan.
They both look like they're a little bit glossier than the figures we've gotten before, but that just may be that they had a lot of light on them.
Yeah, there's no telling.
Oh, see, I thought that about the ones that came with the HasLab Sky Striker. I mean, because granted, I haven't gotten any of these crossover ones, but those O-rings are definitely a shinier plastic than the vintage.
So far, the only thing that's had the same gloss as the original Joe's is the Delta 17 stuff.
Mm.
So this goes up for pre-order tomorrow, probably 1 p.m. Keep an eye out.
I'm not going to wind up getting this because I'm going to be delivering a training session at that time tomorrow, and I'm like, ugh.
Well, did they say this was exclusive to anywhere? Because all the other crossovers have been Amazon, Pulse, Big Bad, everywhere.
Well, if that's the case, then I should be able to get it on Big Bad later.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are usually in plenty supply.
Yeah.
Because when you think of top 5 Transformers, or no, at this point, what, 4? Right? Because Megatron, Soundwave, Bumblebee. Yeah, when you think of the top 4 most popular,
definitely Cup.
Definitely Cup. And granted, I mean, he is one of my favorite, but I am an outlier. So,
and then we got some. Oh, it is. It's tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we got some name-only reveals. Heavy Duty, who some people claimed was already in the classified line, and they were wrong. Because here he is with his.
Well, I think a lot of people just put the name Heavy Duty on the Cobra Island roadblock because no one really wanted that figure to begin with.
There were some who were determined that was always intended to be a Heavy Duty, and that's what it was. Whatever. So I have, I guess, never paid much attention to the original version of Heavy Duty. I have several that came out in like the 2000s later on. What is this contraption he's holding on to? This is bonkers. I want this in classified.
And you're getting it.
I hope so. Well, and these are the images that they provided.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't just go pick stuff out for the names. Like they actually put these up, which I really liked because previously when they did name-only reveals,
it was just name.
Right. So we know where they're taking their inspiration from. Rexship85 says, "No, Colonel Dave, you're wrong. Mama's right." Law and Order. Very happy to finally see these two. Although I know Kristian is furious. It's another pet.
No,
I
No,
know.
no, this one deserves the pet.
I know.
if you told me that we could have Order or Raptor having something other than a slug, I would be like, nope, Raptor gets a slug because Order. This
Well,
makes
an Order is
sense.
going to have to be a completely new dog body too,
Mhm.
because you can't use Timber or Junkyard for Order.
Nope.
And then retro card releases. We have some strangely new art for Rock and Roll. But I mean, that's a no-brainer. I think we've been, ever since they first revealed Rock and Roll, we knew a retro version was imminent.
Yeah, and I grew to love the mainline classified release of it. Because that was, it wasn't until I went back and watched the video when they did the pre-order that I had to have it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this one looks like. Are they gonna keep the more muted like olive, or are they gonna go a little bit brighter with these?
Well, and as they get to the original Joes, are they going to do color variances like those original Joes have, or are they going to make them a little more standard?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at, Zap and Rock and Roll and
Right.
Steeler, like they're all a little bit
Yeah,
different
there's
colors.
multiple shades
I
of green.
kind of hope they go standard because
Right?
as much as I love the current Rock and Roll figure, and that is still what I'll use for my photography, the thought of finally having the green shirt shelf, yeah, I want them all to
I kind of want them all the same olive drab. But who knows? Dr. Mindbender retro card back figure, which really is probably just going to be a stripped down reissue of the Pulse version. Although I hope they figure out a way to do the cape with the little medallions and the silver on the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and we'll be able to see if he has yucky shoulders.
You're right. I think they'll probably figure that part out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that they'll change his colors up too much because he's already pretty retro as it is.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
the figure is,
he's not gonna come with all the accessories that the previous one came with.
No, but we'll get his generator.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. Rexship 85 says, "What if they give Retro Rock and Roll a radio accessory? That would be awesome." And then finally, got leaked before San Diego Comic-Con, but a retro style Viper, and I really hope we get this. I hope they fix the weirdness on the pants. I hope they do short sleeves, which they've got in the tooling bank now, so why not? We need that blaster. I really want an actual classified Viper.
Yeah. And I hope that they go a little bit brighter with the colors. Which I think they will, because that's what they did with the Trooper.
Rachel Salinas wants to know, can they give him Sunbow flesh colored pants?
What? Who? What?
Dr. Mindbender, the one.
Oh, I thought she was talking about the Viper, and I was like, "Hey, now."
Did that happen to Mindbender at one point?
Yeah, at one point he looks like he's just wearing like a thong. Yeah.
Oh no, I haven't noticed that. I noticed the Baroness's assistant in the one episode loses her pants, but I hadn't noticed Mindbender. That's troubling.
And Rexship 85, I've seen this comment quite a bit too. Vac metal face shield. I don't see Hasbro doing it, but as Dave has said plenty of times, we've seen Mattel, so it can be done.
They did it in the 25th, and I have to say, they just look weird on the shelf. I almost would prefer they keep the Vac metal special for Cobra Commander. But we'll
And
see.
Super
We'll see what they
Trooper.
do.
And Super Trooper.
Yes, and Super Trooper. And Destro. We do now. That is something I feel we do need. If they can do a vac metal Destro head, the gold one and the silver one, let's go.
What if they will though? Just because of the softer material they use for the heads to make the whole head that vac metal. I don't know if it
Well,
would
the
work.
problem with Destro would be the neck.
Yeah.
Because the head, I feel like you could do the head mold and have softer plastic inside, like a ring of softer plastic where it connects. But the neck, I think, would be a problem. So then we got this, which I'm really confused about. Did you guys understand what they were talking about with this cryptic image?
There's somebody on the back, you know, of one of the claws. Yeah.
That
I
they
didn't
just seem
read
to
much
make a
into
really
it.
big deal of it if it's just whatever that character is on the back of the claw.
I mean, I thought it. I first my thought was it's Snake Eyes, you know, taking out somebody in a claw.
Oh,
But there's nothing exciting about that to me.
Rexship85 says the tease image was the animal feet from the actual panel. I think the live stream had the wrong image put up.
Oh, what animal feet?
Oh, you didn't see that?
No.
I thought that's what you were about to show here.
No, this is what popped up for the panel, the live stream.
Yeah,
because
I only watched the live stream.
This is what came up when they said cryptic image.
Yeah, there's at the very end of the G.I. Joe panel, there was like two looked like bear feet, and people were saying like Fatal Fluffy, but it didn't look anything like Fatal Fluffy's feet. So, yeah, they just looked like the feet of like a polar bear or something.
Well, see, that's much more interesting because I was so confused as to what in the world, how is this cryptic?
Yeah, if anybody can find that and throw a picture in the chat, because I'm looking for it right now.
Can you even do that?
Or just throw a link to the URL.
Yeah.
Chat.
All right. Well, we'll move on while that investigation is underway.
Yeah, because I mean I watched it. I think it was actually in the His Tank.
Yeah, I haven't gotten caught up over. I'm not caught up over there. So, well, we got to move on anyway. So people keep looking for the bare feet. There were other things besides G.I. Joe at San Diego Comic-Con, and really quickly, we're going to touch on a few of our favorites. But first, I have to mention something that we talked about before, and I just don't have another forum to discuss this, so we're going to talk about it here. Mattel Creations shared the look of their snake layer for Masters of Universe Origins, which we discussed when the voting was going on. And I was very excited about the snake layer because I saw it as potentially something you could use for Serpentor. It just looked like this really cool play set. And what we saw at San Diego Comic-Con was this. So looking at this, okay, fine. But then when you go back to the original image, that is what people voted on, it was this, which I think is a great, cool, reasonable-looking play set. It is comparable in size to Snake Mountain or Castle Grayskull. It's got really cool features. It's got the steps. It's got the little platform with the laser cannon. It's got the handle. Like, this was very, very appealing to me as a reasonable, manageable play set. This looks like an Imaginext set to me. And if you put them side by side, you can really see that what is being offered is absolutely nothing like what we voted on. So I have zero interest in this now, which is wild to me because going into this San Diego Comic-Con, I thought I was looking down the barrel of potentially two different $300 items that I was going to have to make decisions about, and now I don't want either one of them. So what do you think of the difference in these two things?
I feel like usually I like to try and see some positive But I kind of agree with the hoopla that I see online. This is not what people voted on. I think if during the design process you were going to change it this severely, you should have put it out there.
Yeah, I mean this is nothing like the original concept.
But if any 3D printers want to take that central piece with the giant cobra head and print that out, like I've seen people upscaling Mumra's tomb, do it, because that would look amazing behind a Serpentor. But everything else,
Yeah, it's I was very, very disappointed by this, but at the same time, as Rekship says, money saved. Absolutely. Moving on, we're just going to pick a few of our favorite things. This was announced right before San Diego Comic-Con, and you do not understand how much this changed my life, because I was raging furious at NECA because these were originally released as part of their loot crate thing and were never advertised. I never saw any mention of them online until people were receiving them. So I never even had an opportunity to order these when they were first offered. Now NECA is offering it as a set that you can just buy. And I'm thrilled because these were like top tier must-haves for me. What they are is NECA Ultimate versions of the Burger King Universal Monsters figures. And that's like, I can't not have those. So this was huge for me. This was one of my favorite reveals of the whole show.
I just threw a link into the chat. It's very large and unwieldy, but it is the picture I was talking about.
Oh, I cannot
Yeah, you
can't
have to
copy that.
Yeah, those who are. Let me see if I can get a tiny URL on that.
Well, if you can send it to our private chat,
Oh yeah.
then I can click on it. All right, moving on. Another massive win in the string of CM Punk action figures that Mattel is suddenly churning out. This is the Money in the Bank 2011 CM Punk from when he
Summer
won
Punk.
the championship and left. And this is when he blew a kiss to He Who Shall Not Be Named as he was leaving. And this is great. This is an ultimate figure. It comes with multiple portraits. It comes with the blowing a kiss face and hand.
Well, and
And
it's
of
perfect they
course,
revealed this at Comic-Con because he left and he
right,
went to
showed up at
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con.
Rachel Salinas was asking what scale are these monsters.
They're about 1/10 scale. About 7 inches.
NECA Ultimates, anything you see NECA Ultimate wise is around 7.
Bad URL, Noel.
What? It's maybe just because you're not in the group that I found it in. Oh, well, no, it's not. All right. Darn it. Well,
Okay,
why
and
don't
then
I just
finally
save the image and then I'll send it to you directly.
Then my last pick is Mezco announced a 112 collective Beetlejuice, which I'm very excited about because for some reason NECA doesn't want to put articulation in theirs. He needs to be a little fatter, but we all know how their development goes. Like the first time they show a figure, it's many stages away from the final product. So I have no doubt he'll have a nice gut once we get to the final release. I will be pre-ordering this the second it goes live because a nice fully articulated Beetlejuice figure is something I've been wanting forever. And I've got NECA's original release, it's a nice figure, but this is top tier. What did you guys see outside of Joe at Comic-Con that caught your eye?
I saw there's a lot of good Marvel Legends stuff that they showed, but they are doing a Marvel Legends Death's Head.
Yes, that is the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive.
Yes, which looks fantastic. It is an odd crossover because it's a character that originated in the Transformers Simon Herman, I think, created it, and then later on it went to Doctor Who, and then
Yes.
it appeared in several other Marvel titles.
Yeah, it originated, just to be clear for our listeners, it originated in the UK Transformers comic that Marvel put out.
But yeah, he looks fantastic. It makes me wonder if they're going to release these kind of obscure figures that Marvel owns the rights to that have not been used in a while. Can we ever get a Circuit Breaker figure?
Please.
I'd love it. I think it would sell. I think you got enough classic Transformers fans. I mean, obviously Hasbro can't do anything with it on their own. They'd have to do it as a Marvel Legends figure.
Mm-hmm.
And NECA did a whole bunch of stuff. The Sesame Street figures look fantastic.
Yes.
The Pee Wee Herman, of course. And obviously, and we talked about this one before, the Transformers Agent Knight, the kit, Knight Rider, which when I first saw it, I thought this was going to be just your standard like deluxe size figure.
Which is where our conversation came in about me not being able to recognize tooling.
Oh, yeah. Well, and as I said, all of the other crossovers they've done, to my knowledge, were just retools of something else. Extensive retools. They don't necessarily look like any, like the original vehicles, but it's essentially using that same framework, and you're just putting other parts on it. But this is a brand new sculpt, and it's much larger than anything else they do.
But not large enough, because I wish it was an O-ring.
Yeah.
I wish it came with a Michael Knight.
I think it's around a 1/24 scale, so it's going to be similar in size to like the Alternators figures. I kind of wish it was smaller. It's going to be, it says a $49.99 price point.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, it's got electronics in it.
Yeah, it does have electronics in it too.
Thor Golden Cub in the Super Chat. What is happening? Good to see you too, buddy.
Yeah. So I told you guys, I think NECA killed preview night.
I agree.
The Sesame Street characters are amazing. Of course, the Pee Wee Herman. For me, seeing the Tiamat, like Dave said, this is the Tiamat toy that I have wanted since I was a little kid. And I thought Marvel Legends blew it out of the water last year with Crystar. Oh, how I was wrong.
Oh,
because they crossed the finish line, and they are giving us a Marvel Legends ROM Space Knight.
Yes.
I could not be any more excited.
That's wild.
And that's one that I'm surprised is being released as a Marvel Legends too.
Well, see, earlier this year, they released the ROM omnibuses. So they're doing something with Hasbro.
Yeah, because I mean, Marvel does not own that character. Hasbro does.
No, but Marvel owns all the other characters, which is why the IDW comic ended up getting shut down.
What are they? Wraiths? Something?
Dire Wraiths.
Dire
Like,
Wraiths, yeah.
I think Hasbro owns ROM, the name Space Knights, and Galador. Everything else, all the individual Space Knights, all the villains, all of that is owned by Marvel.
Wow. All right. Anything else San Diego Comic-Con was, or time to move on to Sound Off?
Sound Off.
Let's move on to Sound Off. The first time I remembered to put a banner up all night long. Our first Sound Off comes from, these are the last Sound Offs we will see from audiblearmy.com. Wreckship85, what was your biggest surprise from San Diego Comic-Con this year? Mine was actually what you guys just mentioned, those NECA Sesame Street figures. I had no idea those were coming. because I knew they were doing their like Toonie style Sesame Street figures, which probably are my preference because Super 7's doing the reaction ones that look great, and I'm actually really excited about the blind box ones. But the Toonie, like, non-articulated figures that NECA is doing is about as much as I really need out of a Sesame Street figure. But then those Ultimates, oh my gosh, the count with the soft goods cape, with the lining, like those are unbelievable. Those were the biggest surprise to me.
When I saw the pictures that were like close up and they put in the sculpting, they sculpted the felt like it has that texture as opposed to just being
smooth
like
skin,
like melted.
Yeah.
My biggest surprise was Rom. That was not anything I ever thought I would see.
There were hints. We'll talk about it off
I'd say
okay.
Clearly, the biggest surprise was getting a classified Rattler. Nobody saw that coming.
Well, Silent Interlude didn't see it coming because he thought it was going to be an O-ring.
Well, you know, Lenny, I hope you've been listening as you always do. Next year, surprise us. If you guys are going to have leaks get out, you need to do what the theme parks do and make some fake ones, because I want to really be mind blown like we were never.
Wotaz says Rom the Space Knight has outlasted the comic book by over 4 decades. Rachel says the Claw was my surprise.
I would say for real though, they did tease the Master of the Universe Thundercats crossover. So
that's actually pretty mind blowing too. That is a big one. Although I hope Kevin Riddle says Raptor. Toyer Claimer says Law and Order. Wreckship 85 is right. The biggest surprise was the patches. That is correct. You win, sir. You know what? I'm bumping you back up to, what was it, Lieutenant? Is that what you were wanting to be? Wreckship
Lieutenant
is
Colonel
back up to Lieutenant. Not Lieutenant Colonel, but Lieutenant for sure. Good call. Yeah, you're right. And I hope, though, that they're just Thundercats done in the origin style, and it's not like a He-Man Lion-O crossover. Like, nobody wants that.
I think it's going to be like the Turtle ones. It's going to be characters
crossovers
meshed together.
No, I'm not interested then.
Or like WWE ones.
What 2 Joes or Cobras would you want to be stuck between on a long flight if you had the middle seat?
Well, I'll start because this one was super easy for me.
Okay.
And I mean, listeners, you all should know based off of many of my other answers, but absolutely 100% Snake Eyes on one side and Spirit on the other.
That was my thought, because they're not going to talk.
Exactly.
Great. That's excellent. I love it. I'm just going to cheap out since we're running really sure we've actually gone way over time. I'm going to agree. Snake Eyes and Spirit, good call.
I would not want to be between Wetsuit and Leatherneck, though.
No, or Alpine and Bazooka, or Tomax and Zaymot. Or we could easily talk about the worst ones to be stuck between. From Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, which is the home of Sound Off for the foreseeable future. Silent Interlude, what is the G.I. Joe reveal that each of you are most excited for? So, okay, out of everything, what are you most excited for?
Definitely the Claw.
I'm going to say Leatherneck just because it's another step towards Special Mission Brazil.
Even with my nitpick about General Ledger, I am still very excited for Raptor. Like the figure itself, I can't wait to get in my hands.
Was it something we didn't know was coming, or just finally seeing something? I think we kind of covered that. How much of San Diego Comic-Con is big commercial corporate stuff? Are there any small independent companies that showed anything exciting? I think Comic-Con now is all big corporate stuff.
I mean, it has been.
I know Fist was there, the troll and goblin military figures. I know they were there, but I don't know if anything else.
I went in 07 and 09, and it was pretty much that way then. You don't get a lot of small companies.
You're going to get drowned out unless you have something. Because honestly,
those
Super
companies
7
can't
is a
afford it.
company.
Right.
Small companies cannot afford to set up at Comic-Con. Its entry fees are way too high.
And then finally, as we referenced, turns out the Rattler is actually not O-ring sized. I was as shocked as everyone else. Knowing the battle, isn't it a great time to be alive on a Monday night online? It is, but it is rapidly becoming a less great time. So we are going to wrap this up. Finally, Yorktown Joe. I was most excited for the Claw and plan to let Storm Shadow relive some fine Marvel moments like capturing Scarlet or rescuing Cobra Commander. What were you most excited to see from the G.I. Joe reveals? We covered that. Although the Claw was also very exciting. And Hillbilly Harper, I was blown away with the Triple T reveal. What do you all think about it? Unfortunately, we've covered that too.
Well, but I have an answer for this one as well. Okay. I want to say to everyone out there, as far as that reveal goes, as long as we get the entire Triple T and not what was in the photograph, even with Leatherneck, then I think people will be happy. But
we don't want Leatherneck without a forearm here and a piece of arm, like a glove floating.
It's a collect and connect, and I don't know.
They forgot to connect. Well, guys, thank you so much for sitting down and talking about G.I. Joe. It was a very exciting weekend. We had a lot of fun watching along and talking about it tonight. Everybody that hung out with us watching this live, thank you for being here. We love your input. We love hearing from you. And everybody listening to this on Friday, just know you can tune in on August the 5th and catch us live on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Come and participate in the chat. Noel, before we go, tell us a little bit about The Finest.
The Finest is an international G.I. Joe costuming club who raises money for an organization, a wonderful organization called Canines for Warriors. So I'm sure that they love the fact that G.I. Joe is getting lots and lots of canine companions.
And Kristian, where can we find that toy photography that you do so well? And may I say, you have been ramping up lately.
I have been. So you can find me on Instagram under codename Legion Cub.
Well, guys, this has been an awesome time. We have run a little late, but sometimes that's what we do when there's a whole lot of news. August 5th is our next live stream. Until then, yo, Joe.
Cobra.
Rattler.